God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. When German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche penned these haunting words in the 19th century, he wasn't just being provocative. He wasn't laughing at religion. He was sounding an alarm. But what exactly did Nietzsche mean by God is dead? Was it a celebration, a lament, a prophecy? And most importantly, why does it still matter today? Let's dive deep into one of the most misunderstood quotes in all of philosophy. Because understanding it might just help you understand the world and yourself. Part 1. Who was Nietzsche? Friedrich Nietzsche, 1844 to 1900, was a German philosopher, cultural critic, and philologist. Born into a devout Lutheran family, his father was a pastor. Nietzsche grew up surrounded by Christian ideals. But by the time he reached adulthood, he had rejected Christianity, not lightly, not mockingly, but with deep philosophical concern. He wasn't just an atheist. He was a diagnostician of civilization. He saw that something profound was happening beneath the surface of European culture, something that would shake the foundations of Western morality. Nietzsche was often plagued by illness, loneliness, and eventually, madness. But before his mental collapse at the age of 44, he wrote some of the most profound and disturbing works in modern philosophy. Thus spoke Zarathustra, The Gay Science, Beyond Good and Evil, and The Antichrist, to name a few. Part 2. The origin of God is dead. The phrase, God is dead, first appears in Nietzsche's The Gay Science, German, Die Fröhliche Wissenschaft, published in 1882, specifically, in section 125, titled, The Madman. Let's read it. Have you not heard of that madman who lit a lantern in the bright morning hours, ran to the marketplace, and cried incessantly, I seek God, I seek God. Whither is God? He cried. I will tell you, we have killed him, you and I, all of us are his murderers. It's a chilling image, but wait, did Nietzsche actually believe God existed and that we literally murdered him? No, this was not theology, it was cultural diagnosis. For Nietzsche, God is dead was not a claim about God's metaphysical existence. It was a recognition that faith in the Christian God, as the foundation of morality, truth, and meaning, was collapsing in modern society. In his words, God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. Yet his shadow still looms. Part 3. What did he really mean? Nietzsche observed that Western culture was losing its faith. With the rise of science, rationalism, secularism, and modernity, people no longer turn to God to explain the universe, morality, or meaning. But here's the catch, Nietzsche wasn't celebrating this. He wasn't a smug atheist laughing at religion's decline. He was terrified of what might come next. If God is dead, if we no longer believe in a higher power, then where do we get our values? What becomes of morality? What keeps society together? He feared that in the absence of God, nothing would remain, that people would fall into nihilism, the belief that life is meaningless, that nothing is true, that values are illusions. He predicted, what were we doing when we unchained this earth from its sun? In other words, without God, without objective moral truth, humanity becomes unanchored, drifting, disoriented. This, Nietzsche believed, was the true danger. Part 4. Nietzsche and Nihilism. To Nietzsche, the death of God opened a dark door. Without a divine lawgiver, there's no absolute right or wrong, no objective meaning, no cosmic justice, no eternal purpose. We might feel liberated, but we're also lost. This is nihilism. Nietzsche saw nihilism not as a conclusion, but as a crisis, a sickness of the soul. He wrote, the highest values devalue themselves. The aim is lacking. The why finds no answer. People might still go to church or talk about morals, but deep down, many no longer truly believe. They live as though God were dead, even if they still whisper his name. Nietzsche believed that most people wouldn't be able to face this truth. They would cling to old beliefs out of fear, or distract themselves with comfort, entertainment, and shallow pleasures. But for those who dared to look the truth in the eye, something else was possible. Part 5. The Übermensch and creating new values. Nietzsche did not leave us in the darkness. He believed that after the death of God, new values had to be created. Not borrowed, not inherited, created. Enter the concept of the Übermensch, or Overman. The Übermensch is not a superhero. He is a person who has overcome nihilism. A person who creates meaning for himself. Who lives courageously, authentically, beyond good and evil, beyond societal norms. Nietzsche challenges us. Become who you are. But this path is hard. It demands self-overcoming. It demands we look into the abyss and build something out of it. Nietzsche didn't offer a simple formula. He offered a challenge. He once said, "Man is a rope stretched between the animal and the Übermensch, a rope over an abyss." In other words, we are in transition, and the future of humanity depends on how we respond to the death of God. Part 6: Why God is Dead still matters today. Now, let's bring this into the 21st century. Nietzsche's warning has aged well, maybe too well. In our modern world, belief in God continues to decline, especially in the West. But have we truly faced the consequences? We see a rise in depression, anxiety, loneliness, suicide. We chase identity in politics, consumption, fame, sexuality, and self-expression. But is it working? Have we really replaced the meaning that religion once provided? Or are we just floating in a new form of nihilism, masked by distractions? Nietzsche saw this coming. He wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Without a why, life becomes unbearable, and many today are still searching for it. Part 7: Was Nietzsche right about God? Here's the twist. Nietzsche wasn't saying God never existed. He was saying that in the hearts and minds of modern people, God no longer lives. Even Christians, he argued, were often functionally atheistic, living as if God didn't really matter. He despised lukewarm faith, religion reduced to rituals, platitudes, and empty morality. He once wrote, "I might believe in the Redeemer if his followers looked more redeemed." Nietzsche was angry with what he saw as the hypocrisy of the church. But that doesn't mean he dismissed the human need for meaning, transcendence, or wonder. In some ways, his challenge is not anti-Christian, but anti-fake Christian. He wanted people to confront the truth and live accordingly. Part 8: Christian responses to Nietzsche. Many Christians misunderstood Nietzsche, but some didn't. The Russian novelist Dostoevsky wrestled with the same questions. In The Brothers Karamazov, one character says, "If God does not exist, everything is permitted." But Dostoevsky disagreed with Nietzsche's solution. He believed that without God, morality collapses, but that the solution was not to create new values, but to return to divine love. Others, like C.S. Lewis, argued that our longing for meaning is itself a clue pointing toward God. Lewis wrote, "If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world." Nietzsche's challenge still echoes. If God is dead, then what replaces him? But what if, just maybe, God isn't dead at all? What if the death of God is really the death of our false images of him? And what if, through that death, something deeper could be born? Conclusion: is God dead, or are we asleep? So, is God really dead? Or is it our sense of the sacred that has died? Nietzsche held up a mirror to modernity and forced us to look. He dared us to ask, what do we really believe? What anchors our morality, our meaning, our truth? His warning was clear. This deed is still more distant from them than the most distant stars, and yet they have done it themselves. We have killed God, not with guns or blades, but with forgetfulness, apathy, and doubt. But perhaps it's not too late. Perhaps the question is not whether God is dead, but whether we are ready to live as if he's alive. Call to action. Final words. If this video made you think, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear this. What do you think Nietzsche meant? Was he right? Was he wrong? Let's talk in the comments. And remember, even in the silence, truth still speaks. Even in the darkness, a light can shine. Even in death, something new can rise. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.